back to Sage and Stone Homestead. My name is Heather. There is a very simple way to preserve milk or to create your own soft cheese at home if you'd like to. And I'm here to show you that today. I am going to be using a Chevre culture from the New England cheese making company. I have heard that you could just use a little bit of Chevre that is unsalted in order to culture your milk. I have not tried that before. If you have tried that, I'd love to hear how it worked out for you. So there's a couple of different ways to go about this. The recipe that is on the packet tells you to use pasteurized milk, and you can even use pasteurized cow's milk from the store if you like. But for me, I have dairy goats. In order to pasteurize the milk and then cool it down in order to add the culture, it's just a lot of extra time. Plus, in my opinion, it really does mellow out the flavor. We do like a stronger flavor cheese, so I prefer the raw milk version because I think it's a better flavor, plus it's miles easier. If you are using pasteurized milk, you only have to heat it up to 86 degrees. I've found that the best milk for me to use to save the most amount of time is milk that I've literally just milked out of the goat, so I've got a little bit of that today, plus a glass jar. You don't necessarily have to make an entire gallon's worth of Chevre in order to use a packet like this. This does culture up to a gallon, but you could always reduce the amount of culture that you add and make a smaller batch of cheese. So what I have in this bucket is milk that we just got out of our goaty girls. It comes out of the goat at 103 degrees. I did have some ice packs in the canister that the milk fell down into, so it's definitely not that warm yet, but I'm not going to worry about heating it up to 86. I think it's probably roundabout in that general zone. And I'm just going to add this Chevre culture straight to the top. Can you see that in there? It's just a powder. We're going to let this powder kind of rehydrate a little bit before we mix it in. And now we just put the lid on loosely and let it do its thing. This just has to sit on the counter 8 to 12 hours. It gets it a little bit longer, and I'll show you what it looks like in the morning. Good morning. It is the next day, and you can probably see the difference in our milk. Everything is cultured. We've got a lot of really nice whey on the top, and our Chevre is at the bottom. And what we're going to want to do at this point is separate the curds and whey until we get the texture that we're looking for. See this gorgeous whey? It smells really good. It smells a lot like yogurt at this point. And what I have right here is a bowl with a colander, and this is butter muslin. This is like cheesecloth, but it's a lot finer, and I prefer butter muslin basically for anything, any kind of cheese making or yogurt straining. And I have pre-moistened this just with some tap water. It's going to allow the whey to move through the cloth a lot better. A little scared that it's not all gonna fit. It might. I didn't quite make a mess. Didn't quite. See our pretty curd here? It's still got a lot of whey mixed in with it, and we're going to get the texture that we're looking for by straining this whey out. So you could leave it in the colander like this. For some reason, when there's like a flat bottom to your draining vessel, I'm not really sure of the science behind it, but for some reason it drains better when it's hanging in this cloth like a bag. So I'm just going to take two opposing corners and tie them together. I want to be careful not to set the knot down in the cheese, not because it's going to hurt anything, it's just kind of hard to clean out of the knot. So I'm going to hold this up. I'm going to pass one of the other corners underneath the knot so that it lays on the outside of the cloth. I'll spin this around so you can see what I'm doing. And then we've got like this satchel. What I like to do personally is tie it to the cabinet. You can see we've got these kinds of handles on our cabinets. I'm just going to come over here, tie it up there. And just for good measure, I like to take a clothespin and close up any, openings to the outside air, just so no bugs or anything happen to go down in there. So as you can see, we have a nice stream of whey coming out of the cheese right now. Occasionally, I'll come through over the next couple of hours and just sort of lift up on the cheese. Sometimes there's little pockets of whey that get a little bit stuck in there, and I like to basically let this drain until the whey completely stops draining out or dripping at all. Alrighty, so it's been just about 3 hours. We still have a tiny drip coming out of the bottom of the bag, but I can feel that this Chevre is a good texture to my liking. So I am going to take it down and we're going to salt it. Now inside this bowl down here is quite a lot of whey. It's probably 3/4 of a gallon of sweet whey. There's a whole bunch of uses for sweet whey. I'm going to encourage you to Google that and do with it what you wish. We process so much milk at this time of year. I do keep some of the whey, but I don't keep all of it. I did just make a hard cheese and I have the whey from that. So this is going to go to the chickens. Definitely add the salt to your liking. You would be surprised how much salt is needed to properly flavor the cheese, but start small. You can always add more later. You can't take out once you have added the salt in. So I'm actually starting with a tablespoon and we're just gonna mix it in. We'll give it a small taste. That is incredible. Doesn't need any more salt. Now I'm going to show you how I package it up. Right now the Chevre is still pretty soft because it's at room temperature right now. You can see kind of the consistency that we have right here. And as it sets in the refrigerator for storage, it is going to solidify a little bit more. And so with Chevre, you are able to mold it and you'll be able to unmold it later on when you're ready to eat it. And it will retain that same shape. Got a little bit of cling film right here. I'm just going to set it down on the counter. What we can do is put a dollop of the Chevre right down on the cling film and wrap it up. You don't really want to curl over the edge of the film into the cheese. You'll get it stuck, but you can use the film to kind of shape it into a log, like so. Like that. See? Pretty little log right there. And when you go to serve the Chevre, you can take the log out of the cling film. Like I said, it will kind of solidify some more in the refrigerator and hold together more. And then you can roll it in some herbs, spices, like fresh dill or something, right before serving, and it'll be so delicious. So my scale recently broke. I'm not exactly sure the exact yield that we got, but we have 5 rolls plus almost a 1/6 down here out of 1 gallon of milk. And I know that at the grocery store, each of these is about $5 a piece. I believe these packets of Culture cost about $7 a piece, but they give you 5 packets plus the milk from your own farm or milk from the store. It does wind up being cheaper. $5, $10, $15, $20, $25, almost $30 worth of Chevre right here for not $30. Just a very light amount of work. Totally worth it. What I'm going to do to store these is actually pull out a freezer bag and put these in individually, and then I can store them in the freezer right in this bag. I'm gonna say up to about 6 months, but even if your Chevre has been in the freezer for a little bit more than 6 months, don't just automatically throw it away. Take it out, see if it's any good. It's not like it's going to go bad in a way that's gonna make you sick. If you leave it in there longer, it just might have more potential to freezer burn. But the Chevre, when it comes out of the freezer, when you thaw it, it is just as fresh and just as good as the day you made it. We actually like to use Chevre in place of cream cheese. It works pretty well for most things, especially spreading on bagels and stuff. I have made a cheesecake out of Chevre before, and that was really good, but it wasn't, you know, the best cheesecake that I've ever had in my whole life, but it does do the job. There, all packed up, ready for the freezer. I wanted to note too that if you wanted to use skim milk to make Chevre, you absolutely can. I have done it. The yield is a little bit lower and the result is a little bit less creamy, but it's doable. This video is part of a playlist that I've made showcasing all of the things that I've made out of our goat's milk, to include that cheesecake that I talked about before. I'll link that playlist up here. I hope you enjoy your Chevre as much as I enjoy mine. I'll see you guys again soon.